Hello, my name is Justo Dieguez, creator of the Keysi fighting method, and I welcome you to this new DVD. I will show you some reaction and action sequences in risky situations. Keysi is a method of self-defense and personal growth based on a structure of physical, mental, and emotional analysis. The physical part is the vehicle and the tools that help us recognize our abilities and our not abilities, getting our abilities to improve and the non-abilities to become abilities. To drive this physical vehicle, we need a driver, the mind. This union is based on the analysis and development of the technical part. The technical part will be the bridge to reach the objective, but it will never be the objective. If we believe that the physical and mental parts are important, none of them would be functional without an emotional part. We need to understand and recognize ourselves emotionally to face a risky situation. In these images, Jessica is showing her body mechanics. We can see a sequence of hammer blows. We give great importance to body mechanics, which will allow us to reach the explosion of the technical part. It is not only about seeing a blow or analyzing the technique, but how to apply that technique within a situation of real risk. We need to develop not only the technical part, such as the shadow boxing or practice, but also the part dedicated to the bag training. Here we see how Jessica plays with the bag, the punching bag, and applies different blows, always hammer type in this case, which is the part that interests us at this moment. Here in front of a grip, we use those blows. We break and apply each movement in a structured way to understand how each strike fits into a given situation. Now we see how Bogdan, who plays the aggressor part, tries to grab Jessica. She breaks away and breaks the grip using a medium pinza elbow, and then throws a hammer blow. This time we enter with the pinza elbow at chest height and apply the hammer hit again. In this sequence, we break away from the grip from the front and apply the hammer again. On the street, we must be ready to understand that any situation is going to take us to react in an explosive way. That training that we have developed in shadow, as with the bag or the punching bag, is what will allow us to react explosively. Let's see the sequences we can do in this space. This is an interior space where we can manipulate, hit, and always go out to the outside. In this sequence, we are going to work with a hammer blow, the knee and the hammer with ascending elbow in a wing. We start with situations in which we are caught. Jessica breaks the space, enters with a descending hammer blow, and comes out hitting with her elbow to the arm of the aggressor to be able to get out of the distance. At this moment, when breaking away from the grip, it is very important that one hand that we grab the arm of the attacker and with the other we hit his leg. We look for that necessary space to be able to enter and break away from the grip and leave the position. We leave always using the opponent's body as a shield to protect ourselves against other possible attackers. We continue. We use the hammer blow. Jessica comes out and comes in. We are here working on two different distances, the medium distance. We pass to a short medium distance and we leave again towards the outside. We always manipulate the opponent's body to use it as a shield against other possible attackers. We are now going to apply the second sequence. Here we see a way to keep the opponent within the distance. Notice here, when Jessica hits, she continues to apply the hammer blow and looks for a very close to body distance and controlling the opponent's body with the leg and upper body. We maintain the pressure to break the center of gravity of our opponent. We lean on the knee to force the opponent to move and use his body as a shield to protect us. In the third sequence, we are going to enter as before, looking for the short distance. But in this case, we are going to divert the attention of the aggressor by means of an ascending elbow strike and a hammer strike to displace him. We take advantage of the aggressor's displacement to move to the outer zone and use the opponent's body as a shield. Now we work at a very short distance in which Jessica applies the pensaevo and the hammer blows. Here our opponent is at a short medium distance. We look for the best distance and position to apply our hammer blows. We make a very short movement, very close movement, and always keeping the protection of the body to body to work the technical development with the help of the punching bag. We always seek to get out of the body to body. We train this distance with the help of the bag and also with the partner and the focus gloves to better understand the distance. Focus gloves are a very important development tool to understand the types of distance in which we move. We can face grabs, catches, and we can find a way out of them by breaking and applying the pensaevo and hammer blows. Once we have seen the development and application of the focus gloves, we can translate these movements into different gripping situations. The opponent can grab us by the wrist or by the waist or even by the shoulder. The pensaevo as a tool allows us to break the grip and directly apply the hammer blow. We see a new recreation on the street. It starts with an argument and then a grip. We break away from the grip and apply the pensaevo and the hammer blow. We can analyze and recognize these techniques to arrive at the most explosive application possible and in the most efficient way possible in a real risk situation. Here we see Jessica applying the pensachoque and the pensaevo wing and hammer blows. We always talk about a very short distance, which is where we can apply these sequences. We always talk about distance, space, and time. In a risky situation, it is very important to recognize where we are with respect to the distance and time. One fundamental thing we must understand is that distance is the space we must travel between ourselves and the opponent, and how to use the application. In this case, we can see how Jessica enters a body-to-body contact, breaks with a wing, upward elbow strike, and applies a hammer blow. Here the opponent grabs us, we blow up, blow on the wing, we enter with a twist, and the tensachoque, wing, and hammer. Now we do the pensaevo descending, pensachoque, wing, and hammer. The importance of body mechanics is that it teaches us to react in an explosive way and to reach the distance to be able to apply the techniques that we have been developing both in shadow boxing as with the punching bag and the focus gloves. Here Jessica breaks away, shortens the distance with a pensachoque, an ascending wing, keeping the body to apply the hammer blow. A new example on the street. Bogdan approaches from Jessica's back and holds her by the waist. She reacts with a descending wing pensaevo and applies a stroke of pensachoque in turn and descending wing and a hammer blow using the tool she has in hand, in this case a cell phone. In all these sequences we can see that Jessica always ends with a kick to the groin. Let's continue now to work with this simple exercise in short medium distance. We are going to add 2 beats. At first, before the opponent's grip, and a second time in which we will look for a longer distance to use with kicks. The first exercise. In this exercise, Jessica is doing the work of anticipating before the opponent's grip, then explosive pensaevo, strike with the elbow, and as the opponent loses distance and balance, we break with an oblique kick. Watch this movement. When the opponent is going to grab, Jessica anticipates and enters by breaking, then carries the pensaevo and breaks with an oblique kick. In this second sequence, we are going to continue working that small space before the short-medium distance to break and anticipating of the opponent's movement. we're going to reach the body-to-body contact. Jessica breaks the grip, enters, and from that distance throws the hammer blow and retreats to attack with a kick to the leg. Here we are speculating. We are not confirming anything. There are sequences that may or may not occur in a real situation, which serves us to learn how to use the space in our favor. In the following sequence, we will see how to enter with a pensaibo in an attack situation. A very direct elbow strike to the top of the opponent, always keeping the interior space. Now we introduce two beats with the pensaibo strike with the elbow and the reverse blow elbow within the pensaibo. Here, following the first principle, we anticipate again by hitting with the elbow and change with the reverse elbow pensaibo. This is a very short time between both elbow strikes. There is practically no space. It is an explosive sequence, very direct, focused to break in the short distance. Here we see the shadow application of the pensaibo attack, an elbow strike that we call the pensacodo. Descending, it is done from the pensaibo, and in this case it allows us to break the frontal grip. We imagine that the opponent grabs us from the front. We break the grip, opening that space between the opponent and us, and then being able to apply the hammer blow. Here, we work with the punching bag. Jessica uses the punching bag not only to train her blows, but to use it as a shield between her and another imaginary opponent. At Keysi, we always think that there will not be just one opponent, but there are many others. We have to have that mentality, be able to understand the environment and decide how to resolve the situation. Here we work against grabs. We use the focus gloves as a tool to train how to enter in a more explosive way, without the risk of harming our training partner. We see the different possibilities of the grip in the reaction situations to be able to apply our movements. It is important to know that in each situation there are certain timings. These timings are before, during, and after. Here, Jessica reacts during the attack to reach the body-to-body position and apply the hammer blows. We see a new simulation on the street. Jessica is walking, and Bogdan approaches from behind and grabs her shoulder and the neck. Jessica initially lets herself be dragged backwards, then turns around and breaks with a hammer blow and a kick to the groin. We can't guess what's going to happen on the street, but something can always happen. In that case, we will have to have a very instinctive ability to respond in order to get out of the situation. Something that attracts us when it comes to martial arts is the ability to use our body as well as any other type of urban weapon, any type of tool that we can use in case of an emergency. We are used to seeing these kinds of tools, which are very hard and effective. They are capable of counteracting the brutality of an assault, of a situation of risk in which we can find ourselves. Since nowadays, any person can carry a weapon, there are more spectacular weapons such as this one that I am wielding right now, sharp weapons that allow us to stab, to nail, and to cut, and other forms of actions. We can also find more common tools such as a knife, although it is not very common for people to carry them down the street. Although sadly these days people are carrying more weapons nowadays. We, as normal people, we don't walk around with these type of hard weapons, which can cause a lot of damage. We don't do this when we go out with our friends and family. There are weapons that can be used to provoke a lot of damage. However, we can count on these other everyday objects that we can use as a weapon, such as the keys of the car or our house, something that we can always carry with us. A telephone or cell phone, another very common object that we use nowadays. It can also be a simple pen, or a pair of glasses, or even a bottle. All of them are natural tools that we can use every day because they're part of our daily life. Next, and with these small exercises that we are developing today, we are going to show that these are not tools that can cause permanent damage to the opponent. It can be enough to defend ourselves in a situation of risk in which we are involved. As I have said this before, these type of tools do not cause permanent damage, but they can be the key that allows us to open the opponent's door and thus apply a series of sequences that allow us to get out of the situation. Here we see the use of the garroter. It is a very functional tool as it allows us to make cuffs and grips. Its external peaks allow us to hit certain points, applying a great pressure. Here we see how Jessica wears the garroter on her waist. Bogdan catches her from behind, and she grabs her own arms to exert his resistance. She turns and grasps the garroter. Again she grabs, turns, and applies a blow with a garroter in the most effective very possible way. Downward stroke in this case, and then upward knee stroke against the attacker's head. In this example, Jessica employs the downward hammer blow and the knee. The low-level hammer blow causes the opponent to twist his body downward, allowing us to make better use of the resources of the distance, space, and time.
Vemos como Jessica golpea
Jessica strikes by applying a hammer blow in a knee strike. Regardless of whether our hit manages to flex or not the opponent, we always use the knee to hit any part of his body. It does not have to be a particular point. Of course, if we manage to hit certain points, the response will be quicker and better. Jessica is still working with the punching bag. It's important how we grab it and use it to train our movements. Now let's go back to the focus glove. The partner grabs us in different ways, and we have to open the space, and then we can hit. In this case, we use the knee. We continue with different applications to use and the knee blow. Independently of the initial space, we look for the necessary space to be able to apply our strikes. Here Jessica is protected from a back grip. She moves looking for the blow to the groin to finally throw a knee blow to the face of the aggressor. We return to a street recreation. On this occasion, Jessica is wearing the grab shirt behind at the waist. The aggressor grabs her by the back, and Jessica looks for the necessary space to be able to grasp or get the grabber out. Then she hits the groins and hits the face going upward. Jessica is still working with the punching bag. In a situation, in a short space between an opponent and his victim, we must always act in an explosive manner, seeking action and reaction. First everyday tool that we are going to use as an urban weapon is going to be the telephone or the cell phone. We are going to act on certain points of the aggressor and look for the ability to respond in that space-time scenario. In this example, we are anticipating the grip, throwing a direct blow to the opponent's neck, this allows us to take the opponent out of the body-to-body distance. In the second sequence, we are going to show Bogdan is going to grab Jessica. She anticipates the grip, and before it happens, she goes into the short-medium distance to hit and pull the opponent out of the short distance. In the third sequence, we are going to stop the opponent's grip by hitting his arm with a cell phone. We enter the throat with the hand, elbow blow. We enter through an upward blow with the cell phone to the neck.
Marca el cuello, Jessica.
Now
Aquí vemos
Jessica
Jessica
works on
cómo
3 different
trabaja
distances,
en tres diferentes
the medium
distancias,
and
la
the short
distancia
distance,
media corta, la
medium distance,
distancia
and long
media y la
distance.
distancia larga. Cada una de esas
Each of these
distancias nos van
distances
a
allows
dar
us
una
a
serie
series of
de
applications and
aplicaciones y
possibilities
posibilidades
for our
para poder
self-defense work.
aplicar nuestro trabajo de autodefensa. La patada es la distancia más
The
larga
kick
en la que
corresponds to the
aplicamos un
longest
golpe
distance in
en
which we
un
throw a
combate
blow.
cuerpo a cuerpo. Aquí hemos trabajado la distancia
We
más
have worked
corta,
the shortest
la
distance, the
distancia
medium distance,
media
and the
y
long
la
distance.
distancia larga. En este caso, la patada
The kick will
siempre
always
va a ir
look for
buscando
low
partes
areas.
bajas. No
We
vamos a
will not
intentar
seek to hit the
buscar la
top
parte
of the
superior
opponent because it is a
porque
situation of
estamos
risk,
entendiendo que es una
spontaneous,
situación
and we have to be
espontánea,
very explosive.
explosiva y en una situación de riesgo
In these cases,
donde
high kicks are
las
not
patadas
as
altas
effective as low kicks.
no tienen tanta efectividad como una patada baja.
Jessica
Rompe
breaks
con un
away with the
pensacodo
descending
ascendente,
pensacodo,
un martillo,
and then a hammer.
buscando con ese golpe que el oponente mueva y nos llegue a la distancia
With this
que
blow,
estamos
she seeks to
esperando,
get
en
the
este
opponent
caso,
past the distance we need to be able to throw a kick.
y aplicaríamos esa patada de forma
It has to be
explosiva y de
explosive and a
forma
spontaneous kick
espontánea
to be able to move quickly
eliminar de una manera
and stop
rápida.
our opponent.
Si os dais
We
cuenta,
continue to work in
seguimos
different grip
trabajando
situations.
diferentes posibilidades de agarre. Lo importante aquí es
The
cómo
important thing is
rompemos
to
el
how to
agarre,
break the grip, enter, and
entramos
look for the distance with a
y
pensacodo
buscamos la
strike.
distancia con el golpe de pensacodo. Volvemos a hacer
We
una
see a new
recreación
recreation on
en la
the
calle,
street.
donde una
On this
persona
occasion, a
es
person is violently
violentada.
disturbed. Again,
Aquí
we break the
volvemos
grip
a
with a hammer
romper el
blow,
agarre, aplicando un martillo,
a pensacodo, and a
pensacodo y
kick
una
to the
patada
groin
a
to increase the
genitales,
distance between the
buscando
opponent and
siempre
us.
la distancia más larga entre el oponente y nosotros. La violencia tiene
Violence has
muchas
many
formas,
forms, it
se
mimics
mimetiza
in a
de mil
thousand
maneras
ways,
y nunca
and we
vamos a
will never
encontrar
be able to
una
find a
razón
reason for
del
its
que exista.
existence.
En este caso
In this
vamos a hablar
case,
de
we
una
are going to talk
violencia
about a
que se
type
va a
of violence
generar por el
generated
ego de la
by the
persona.
ego of the
En este
person.
caso, Bogdan va a
In this
tratar de
example,
conseguir
Bogdan is going to try to get Jessica's
la
smile,
sonrisa de una persona,
but he is
pero
going to
está
do it
entrando en un terreno
inappropriately,
que para
intimidating
ella
her,
como para él
so that the
puede
situation
ser
can
una
escalate.
manera peligrosa o una manera inadecuada
We can't know
para poder llegar a
beforehand
unas
what direction the
consecuencias.
consequences of this
Nunca
kind of
vamos a tener
situation
un
are going to
parangón
take.
o una dirección exacta. No
We
existe
cannot give an answer
no
to
podemos dar
everything.
una respuesta a todo.
We can
Podemos
recreate a
crear una
simulation.
En esta secuencia vamos
In
a
this
ver cómo
sequence, we are going to
una
see how
persona
Bogdan gets too
quiere
close to
llegar
Jessica.
hasta la chica, en
She
este
avoids
caso,
him and takes her
donde
hands
ella
away
va a
from the
manotear
individual.
y va a buscar ese
Jessica
espacio
then
para
looks for the
entrar
necessary
con un-
space to enter
con un
with a pensacodo
pensachoque,
in the shortest
acercándose a la
distance.
distancia más corta, donde por
In this short distance,
consecuencia,
Bogdan grabs
si ella se
Jessica,
acerca, él agarra. Donde
and she
ella va a
uses her
utilizar
elbows to
sus
open the
codos, en
space
este
under
caso,
the opponent's
para
arm
para abrir esa ventana y
and move to his
traspasar esa
back.
barrera buscando su espalda. Aquí vemos que tiene agarrado
Jessica grabs Bogdan here,
al mismo tiempo que arrastra
dragging him to
para
unbalance him,
desequilibrar al oponente,
keeping
lo
control close
mantiene
to her
controlado
body.
con su cuerpo y golpea
Now she
sobre
hits his
su
face
cara
and pulls him back.
para arrastrarlo hacia atrás,
It kicks to
desequilibrándolo,
create unbalance
patea, lo manipula
and takes him
hasta
to
el
the
suelo.
ground.
En este caso,
This way of
está
manipulating
haciendo
corresponds
una
to a
ruptura
break
de
in the back.
espalda, donde ella
It is not enough for
simplemente
Jessica
tiene
to
que
carry
cargar
her
su
weight
peso
back
atrás
to
para
break.
romper.
Let's
Vamos
repeat it,
a verlo ahora de una
now in a
manera
more
más
dynamic and
dinámica,
fluid
más
way.
seguida. En este caso, vamos a seguir con
Same
la misma
sequence.
secuencia. Él intenta
Bogdan tries to reach
llegar a
Jessica.
ella rompe la distancia,
She breaks away and creates the distance.
gira,
She turns, catches,
lo atrapa,
drags him to the ground,
lo arrastra al
breaks,
suelo,
and walks
rompe
away.
y se aleja. Vale, cualquier
Any of the
herramienta
tools
las
we
que
use,
usamos
such as
como-
fists,
como
elbows,
son
knees,
nuestras
or
armas,
kicks, are very
son
important.
puños, codos, rodillas, patadas,
depending on the position we are in. One of those tools will be one that works. Even if we can use them all, there will always be one more suitable for the situation, one that works better than the other. Let's repeat the previous sequence. Bogdan tries to reach Jessica. She takes him away with her hands, breaks the space, and goes to his back. She hits, takes him to the ground, breaks, and before leaving throws a kick to the face. This is a more violent type of application than the previous one. We are no longer giving the opponent any choice. Now we end our action with a kick. If we want to do the exercise we have just done, we will see that it is very complicated and perhaps difficult to understand and difficult to put into practice. We will not always have the possibility of carrying out this type of action. What happens in this exercise? How do we dissociate this exercise? In the first sequence, Bogdan arrives and tries to intimidate Jessica. She tries to take her hands away from Bogdan. She is avoiding violence. She tries to make him understand that she doesn't want to do anything with him. At his insistence, Jessica is forced to use her tools. Again, Bogdan approaches. She takes her hands away and she finds the first action, the pensachoque and the pensapolo. What is the pensachoque? It is not only to push, it is very forceful blow, and even more if we add the elbows. Observe how the elbow sequence is made. How it enters, it is already creating quite unpleasant physical damage to the person who receives the impact. Let's repeat it. Bogdan tries to enter, and she stops him with a blow. This would be enough for any person to walk away. He would no longer want to face the situation again. Let's see another possibility. Bogdan enters and Jessica breaks with the pensaavo. In an attack, now she leaves the opponent's line. Again, now passing on his back, Jessica breaks and passes Bogdan's back. In this situation, Jessica is using the opponent as a shield. She is protecting herself while controlling him. If we have come to this situation, we can use our fingernails. Grab and pull it, make it turn, repito, grab it and pull it by making it turn to drive it away or knock it down. Let's do it again. They are short but very explosive movements. Break, open, and grab. We continue with the same situation. She is defending herself, breaks the pensaavo in an attack, and shortening the distance to body to body. The opponent grabs us. Now we escape under his arm, grab and hit the groin. We pass to his back, throw a paw to his face, and with both hands we pull back to bring him down. We kick and escape. Something that martial arts give us is the capacity for being creative, the ability to recognize ourselves and achieve personal growth. In Keysi, we look for that growth. We are not only looking for the violent part. Although in our videos we show sequences of action, that action is a vehicle that will lead us to personal, physical, mental, and emotional recognition, seeking our inner self in the recognition of our own self. Thanks to Bogdan and thanks to Jessica,
gracias a Jessica,
Master Instructor and
Master
part of the
Instructor y
Keysi
parte
kit.
del Keysi Kit,
They have been
donde
able to
ellos
express and recreate
han
some of the
podido
sequences.
expresar y recrear algunas de las secuencias.
They are not all of the
Son
sequences, but
simples,
only small
pequeños
details,
detalles, simples partes que
small parts of the total.
un total donde poco a poco
With this series
con
of
este tipo
videos,
de
we will be
vídeos
able to
podremos
show
ir
little by
mostrando las
little the different
diferentes
areas
y
and the
el
way we
camino que
follow in
seguimos en
Keysi.
Keysi. Espero que disfrutéis mucho.
I
Esperamos
hope
que
you enjoyed it and hope you
que
learned
este tiempo que
something during
estemos
this
juntos,
time that we have shared with
sea
you.
para vosotros un momento de aprendizaje y
You can
dudas
ask us
para
about
poder
any doubts you
preguntarnos todo
have.
lo que queráis. Quiero entrenar con
I
vosotros.
want to
Quiero
train with
enseñaros
you.
de mi
I want
de
to show
nuestra
you
mano,
our
de
knowledge
nuestros
and that you can
conocimientos,
truly
y
understand
que
the way
podáis
of Keysi.
entender verdaderamente el
We
camino
look
de
forward to
Keysi.
seeing you in the
Os
next
esperamos en el
DVD.
próximo
Thank
vídeo.
you.